Hey guys, Shadney back with another process video today, and this is also for the Scrapbooking for Beginners kit that I've been working through. We are down to about, I think, 6 maybe layouts left. I don't know if that includes this or not, but give or take about a week, or maybe a little less than a week. So first off, I'm starting out with this Polaroid frame looking background, and then that wood grain that I pulled in whenever I was doing like the revive my kit thing. I just cut that down so that I cut a small portion, like give or take about a third of the page, to cover up, just because that pattern was so busy and bold. I think it just needed a little bit of a resting spot from that busy pattern. So right now what I'm doing is adding some washi tape that will peek out from behind that wood grain whenever I adhere it down. And I wanted kind of a messy edge to it, so I just tore it like sort of down the center without being very careful. And then I'm going to adhere the wood grain over top of it. I did think I was going to add this strip of yellow down the center as well, to layer underneath the wood grain, between the wood grain and the washi tape, but I decided against it because I felt like it added more busyness than without it. Without it, I felt like it kind of helped ground the layout a little bit, but with it, it just made it more anxious feeling, which sounds weird, but that's the best way to describe it. So now I'm just going to adhere this wood grain down. And for this layout, really what I'm wanting to do is incorporate a lot of these embellishments that are that bright lime green that honestly do not go with this kit at all. But I want to show you how you can incorporate those bits and pieces and bring them together, even though none of the paper has any lime green in it. I do have an envelope that is from a card. It was a birthday card or something somebody gave me, and it is lime green, so I did go ahead and pull that in as well. And I'm going to adhere the photo to that envelope, just to the front flap of it, because what I'm going to do is ultimately add some hidden journaling inside. And not that it's anything super important, but I just figured I'd probably have a lot of writing to do because these are older photos, and I just wanted to kind of talk about from then to now. It's probably, I think this was 2007 maybe, so it's been a lot of years. So I just wanted to talk about our life since then and how we've grown up together and stuff, and how everything's changed. And I just figured it would take up a lot of room on the layout, and I didn't really want to deal with gluing the strips down, and I didn't want to add to the busyness of the background. So because this color shine, the Heidi Swap color shine, I do have the lime green in that set that I had included in the kit. I did go ahead and just splatter it all over the background in kind of a diagonal line from the bottom left to the top right. When all else fails, I tend to do diagonal style layouts. I just feel like it leads your eye across the page really well, and it just, I don't know, I just like the look of it. So now I'm just trying to lay out and see how exactly I want the layout to go, because I do want to add some more paper layers behind the photo, but I gotta figure out how, in what order and everything, and spacing. So the first thing I do is I pulled out some of those labels, and they are from some of the printables I included whenever I made the kit originally. It was the one that had just all different colors of labels in it. And I just pulled out the lime green ones from it so that I can use those in my 3 spots where I'm going to do embellishing. This piece of paper is a 6x6 that I cut down for another layout, and because I kind of like the wood grain little strip at the end, the little zip strip, I didn't cut it off, and because where my photo is going to land, it will cover that hole, so I was not too worried about that. And then this piece of paper I am layering behind the envelope, and it's really busy as well, but it just gives it a little bit more color and texture behind the envelope there. So I just did a very narrow strip, and I will go in and ink the edges of each of these layers. This piece is also from, I think, the 6x6 pad. It might be the 6x8 pad. I think it's the 6x8 pad. It looks a little, oh no, 6x6. I'm tearing this edge because I want to save that little strip, the zip strip, and there's little hearts on it, and I want to fussy cut those for another layout. For this right here, I did my faux, what do we call it? Notebook border punch edge. Sorry, my brain is like not there today. I haven't done a voiceover in a couple days, so I'm a little bit crazy. But the border, we did the fake border where you use a hole punch and punch holes, and then just clip it with your scissors, not all the way down, but just through to the hole, and then you kind of rub your hand across it, and it roughs it up and makes it look like a torn piece of notebook paper. I do have punches that do that for me, but because I didn't include them in my kit, I wanted to show you an alternative if you have a normal hole punch or any size of hole punch, and not one of those fancy border punches. So it's very easy to do regardless. So I went ahead and added those on the background and stretched them from the top to the bottom so it looked like a longer sheet of paper. Right now what I'm doing is I've picked out all the scraps that are cream or white with just black in them, that I had left, and I'm using these to go through and make hearts. Again, because I have no green paper whatsoever, I want to show you a cool way to incorporate the lime green. Even though we don't have it in the paper, we're gonna use just black and white printed pages or black and cream printed pages. Cut hearts very simply. If you have punches or a die cut machine, you can easily cut the hearts out that way, but this is a very simple way without it. And honestly, because they don't need to be the same size at all, they're a variety of sizes, it doesn't really matter that they're not all perfectly exactly the same. I pulled out just a sheet of white cardstock that I had that it didn't need or anything. It's just a scrap that I had. And then now I'm just spraying that lime green mist all over all the hearts. And then that's it. I'm gonna set them aside and let them dry. Oh, I do soak up a bunch of the color so that, because it was kind of puddling up in a weird way. And then, and then I will go in and add some gold Heidi shine to it. I don't know if I do that now or later. I think I do it now. They're very, very soft when they're wet like that, so you want to wait till they're completely dry before you actually use them on your layout. But I do go in and add some gold splattering with the gold Heidi shine to the hearts, and then I'll also go in and use the gold splattering on the background, just a little bit, not a whole lot, just to kind of tie that in. And then I'm also going to add green up there at the top where the paper's been added, and I covered up all the splatter there, and just add a little bit of that and of the gold up there as well. So now that that is all kind of setting aside and drying, I am going to go ahead and start kind of working on the background, even though it's not completely dry. I'll go in with the paper towel. I tore off like a little piece, and I'm soaking up some of the bigger spots of splatter, and that'll just help it dry a little quicker. And with the shimmer mist, I don't know if you know this, but everyone always talks about the little rings of like oil, it looks like, that end up around your glimmer mist. And especially with Heidi Swap Color Shine, with the gold, it does that really bad sometimes, if it's not shaken right and stuff like that. But one thing I have learned is that if you soak up most of the liquid from the dots, it dries much quicker, and then you don't get that ring. So that is just a little tip there. I did adhere my photo and envelope down with a little sheet of fun foam. Sorry, my brain completely blanked. A fun foam behind it just to add a little bit of dimension and texture there. And then I'm going in and adding my title down below. The letters for little, I didn't have any more E's, so that is actually a 3, and it's like rotated 180 degrees. So that it's facing the opposite way, and honestly it fits really well because that looks like sort of a whimsical, like kind of fun little font, and it just works out pretty well. I've done that in several layouts. I think I've already done that and shown you that, but just another little mention: Frankenstein your letters together if you need to. There is no judgment in that. Anything that gets you more layouts for less money is going to be great. Or anything, honestly, anything that just gets you to create is good. So anything that makes you happy, just do it. With these letters, they are some that I fussy cut from one of the pieces of paper. And because they're so flat and the background's really busy, I do want to pop them up with Stampin' Mini Dimensionals, or Mini Stampin' Dimensionals, however you say it. Just tiny little thin foam dots to attach those, and it just gives it a little bit more dimension and makes them a little bit more substantial, if that makes sense, and kind of pulls them away from that background, that busy background. And then after that, I am going to go in and add another font with the gold glitter that I had pulled into the kit as well. So once those are all adhered right there, I'm going to add my labels, and I'm going to stick one label there on the photo, and that'll kind of act as like a tab to pull up so that you can get to the journaling. One at the top left, and then one underneath the title, and that I will add the year. I don't know the exact date of this photo, but I'm pretty sure it's the fall of 2007. I'm trying to think. Yeah, it's got to be fall of 2007. So these are those gold thickers that I pulled in whenever I revived my kit, and they just barely fit the date on this little label, but it fits just perfectly, so it's totally fine. It works out, and it just kind of ties some more of that gold in from the splatter and all that. So I'm going to bring the hearts back in. They're not completely dry. They're still kind of soft and just a little bit damp, not wet, but just a little bit damp. But I'm going to go ahead and place them around so that I kind of have them mentally in my head where they're going to be, and that will help me with the rest of my embellishing. So the next thing I'm going to do is pull out all the green and citron-y green, yellowy colored brads from that kit. I kind of sprinkled them around the page where I want them, and then I'm going in and using a pencil to mark where each brad, the center of each brad, is going to go. And then in just a second, I will go in with my scissors and poke holes for each brad. Another thing you can do with these brads is you can bend the little brad pieces and break them off. Sometimes they end up kind of rough on the edges, and then just glue them down like a normal, like a dot. Or you can use like little wire snips to cut the brad part off, but I kind of like the idea that they're real brads. I don't know, it doesn't really matter, honestly, because you can't really tell either way, but I don't mind putting in the extra effort for brads, for real brads. So it does take me just a few minutes to do that, and I'm sure there's a much safer way to poke holes for brads, which would probably be something like an awl and a foam pad so you don't stab yourself, which I'm sure I've done with my scissors before, but that would not be the first time. I'm not a very graceful. I'm very clumsy, I should say. I'm very clumsy when it comes to crafting, especially, and I'm very messy, and I'm fine with that because creativity is messy, and that's if I try to stay clean and tidy while I'm creating it, I honestly just end up miserable and frustrated, and I'm not as creative as I usually am. So I say go for crazy and messy, and I don't remember why I went on this tangent. Yeah. So, anyways, I pull out these stamps, and they are the crepe paper all heart stamps that I had included in the layout. I mean, no, in the page kit, in the scrapbook kit, whatever I want to call it. And I'm just adding some stamping around just because I was a teenager. Phil wasn't a teenager. But I was a teenager at this time, and they were fun. We were roller skating. We look kind of weird just like this, but in context, we were roller skating. Um, and we had not been dating very long. We started dating in the summer of 2007, so we had not been dating very long. And I just thought this would be a fun layout to include some of these cute little, like, fun and whimsical kind of stamps, like the fun with all the little like the starburst dash marks and the peace sign and the little pointing hand and stuff like that. It just feels a little bit more young, and I felt like they go really well with this layout. These I am double stamping each of these. They are not very detailed stamps, so stamps like that you can easily see underneath the block and kind of line up and stamp again just to get a darker color. And I think it helps the stamping stand out a little bit. If you have a stamp platform, that is also super helpful to get you can stamp multiple times even if your image is pretty detailed, and usually end up with a very good detailed image. But that is too much room and too much effort on my desk, and that I don't have one. So the cute I do end up covering up because the paper that those labels are printed on is a matte photo paper, and for some reason it like really soaked in the ink, which is good typically. I mean, it would be good typically, but because in real life, it made the ink for Cute so much darker than the ink from all the other stamped images that it really just bothered me, so I ended up covering it up later. I did sprinkle the little hearts across the whole diagonal of the page. And then I'm going to go in and add some little tiny word strips right here. This is the cut apart sheet that I added a few weeks ago or maybe a week ago, 2 weeks ago. Whenever I revamped the kit or updated the kit, I did include this as a free download. So if you go back to that video, you can download this for free, and it's got a bunch of just tiny words in a basic typewriter font in like a light black, and just very generic, but they work pretty well, especially when you're out of tiny word stickers. So I am just going in, I'm trimming them a little bit just so that they fit the word a little bit more. There's not like a lot of space on either side of the word. I trimmed them down a little bit. And then I'm just going to add them around the layout. And you can see there, I try to cover up the cute with one. And honestly, I really like it a lot better. It made me really relieved that worked. You can still see it a little bit, but I'm totally fine with how it is now. And then I'm just incorporating these tiny word strips into the diagonal of the page. Now that these hearts are almost completely dry, they're probably still not completely dry, but almost completely dry, I am going to glue them down just on the fold line down the center so that they still have a little bit of dimension on the page and a little bit of texture. And because they're still not completely dry. And then excuse me, sorry. Once all of those are adhered down, oh, I did adhere that corner down because it was sticking up, and I put the washi tape over that heart because it wasn't laying down flat. So I do pull out these little dots, the Dollar Tree dots, and I use all of the bright lime green ones. The darker green I thought I would use, but I just didn't really want to add it to everything. I mean, I already had enough going on the page, and I didn't really want to darken it with adding the darker colored green. I really like how it looks with just the bright lime green, especially knowing that there's no lime green in any of the paper. It worked out pretty well that this came together pretty well. And honestly, I wouldn't have even tried to do it, except I had all those brads and I didn't want to waste the brads. I thought they were so cute. So, and then right here, what I'm doing is I'm pulling out all the gold glitter sequins out of this mix so that I can sprinkle those across that diagonal as well. And that'll help tie in the gold from the thickers down there and from the splatter. And not that it needed to be tied in, but I just wanted more sprinkly bits because, you know, those are my favorite. So I just add more all over. And then that'll pretty much be it. I am going to add my journaling off screen because I'm not really sure yet what I'm going to say, and I've got to cut the piece down. I will probably just cut a card, not a card, but like a piece of white cardstock to fit that envelope, and then just handwrite on it and stick it in there. It's not that there's anything special that I need to say or anything extra private that I need to say. It's just I didn't want to take away from the design of the layout, but I still wanted to get the journaling in there. And knowing that, I probably will write a lot because a lot has happened since this photo. We were very young. And then that's pretty much it. The last thing I do is I look and dig through until I find the little tiny strip of gold foiled paper that I had used several layouts ago. I dig until I find it, and then it took me a minute to find it, but I use that and cut a tiny gold heart to fit that space on the label where the photo is, just because there was a big blank space and I didn't have anything left that was substantial enough that I thought should go there or would fit there really well. There's that gold strip. And I just cut a piece off and fold it in half and then cut a little heart just like I did the others. And just like the others, I only glued it down on the center fold so it still stayed a little bit dimensional. So that is it. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this layout process. If you liked this process, please hit like. If you want to see more videos, please hit subscribe because, no, that sounded weird. Please hit subscribe so that you can find out whenever I post new videos. Oh, and the bell notifications so that they will actually tell you when I post new videos, because sometimes they don't tell you unless you hit that button. And then maybe leave me a comment and let me know. I don't know. I want to hear how you incorporate weird colors, or if you do incorporate weird colors, if you've ever tried to do something like this where you add a color that's not traditionally in the kit and try to incorporate it in a weird way, or if that you don't like that and you tend to stick away from that. You know me, I like to mix my what are they called? My collections and stuff. I'm not really a scrapbook from a collection kind of person. I know a lot of people are, so I'm curious if you are that kind of person, if you ever tie in any odd colors or you stick strictly to collections. Sorry, that was very long-winded. Thank you guys again for watching. I hope you have a wonderful day and a happy scrapping. Bye.